Thank you for coming to listen to my speech in English. To be honest, this is my first formal English speech in English in my life. And I have to admit that my English is not good, and till today I still don't enjoy speaking English, and I can't think in English. That's the reason why 12 years ago, when my son was born, I decided to raise my son bilingually. As a very, not fluent English speaker. How I raise my son bilingually, that's also the theme of my speech. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Eric. I'm an ordinary father. Okay, I raised my son bilingually, and I did it. My son is called Aaron. He's also studied in Asia. Now he's in America, and he's having the debate, competition with the native speakers from all over the world. I also run 3-4 immersive English per schools, and I have an online English immersion program. Over the past 8 years, I have helped over 10,000 families cultivate children who excel in English. And these families are from cities, towns, and even rural areas across China. I didn't study education formally, nor did I start my career in this field. But driven by a dream, I transformed from a father teaching his own child English to a full-time early English educator. Actually, my original goal is simply to raise my son bilingually. Yet as I gained more experience, I saw the insights I shared online were helping many other families. Over time, my dream expanded. I wanted to help more children to learn English with less pain and less time and less money. Okay. I don't want all the children to stand in unafraid to speak English with lots of nervous, like me. Okay. This dream stemmed from my own experience learning English. Okay. As you can see, I'm still nervous when I stand on the stage, speaking English. Like many Chinese parents born in 70s, 80s, and 90s, I spent lots of time and even money in learning English. Okay, beyond the hours in middle school and high school, I dedicated over half my college study time to memorizing vocabulary, studying grammar, and practicing for exams like CT4 and CT6. For preparing for TOEFL, I memorized over 10,000 vocabulary. Although for some reasons I never took the exam. Actually, I have to admit that it's because of the poverty. Because I was from the countryside at that time, I don't think my family could support me to go abroad. To be honest, don't let poverty stop your dream. Because in my age, it's easy to apply for scholarship. If I did apply for a university, I think I can get the scholarship. That's a thing that the poverty can stop you from imagining a big world. Is that true? Because I was relatively good at exams, I thought I've mastered the language till I start working in the export trade. I realized I still heavily rely on translation, and I couldn't hold a fluent conversation with my, English-speaking clients. Okay. After experiencing this setback, I began to question why so many of us, even today, who had invested so much time in English study, in English learning, could still struggle to keep up with native speakers. I realized that we share the common habit. We need to translate English into Chinese to understand it, and then translate our responses back into English. This indirect process is really time-consuming and ineffective, while the native speakers can think directly English. Okay, that path from thought to expression is straight, while ours is full of detours. This realization led me to question how people acquire their native language. I noticed that no parents teach their kids to speak by using a foreign language to explain. So why do so many of us even today learn English through translation? Later, I read Stephen Krashen's theory of second language acquisition. Krashen's theory states that for language learning requires substantial input before output, and the input must be comprehensible. Translating English into Chinese is the most familiar way for us to make foreign language comprehensible. This process is very simple, but it has a defect. People who rely on translation often get dependent on it. It's just like the baby who only fed pre-chewed food. Okay, without training, these babies may grow up without the ability to chew on their own. So how do people acquire their native language through comprehension input? I realized that all human beings start learning their language, their native language, by observing and listening to people around them. This process includes two essential elements: seeing and hearing. Both happen simultaneously. A child sees either a static image or a moving scene, and alongside it, they hear someone speaking. The natural pairing of sound with the image creates a seamless flow of comprehensible input. A child immersed in this environment for long enough will naturally acquire the language. The process of native acquisition is familiar to everyone. In this process, children see a world they understand visually and hear sounds that correlate with what they see. In the age of no electronics, children would naturally learn language from those around them. This has led to a common misconception that to learn a foreign language, we must have native speakers around us. Many parents therefore spend lots of money on some weekly lessons with foreign teachers, often with some disappointing results. Logically, this approach makes sense, but why doesn't it often yield the desired results? What if we don't have native speakers nearby? What if the parents cannot speak English fluently? Does that mean we cannot create an immersive language environment at home? The answer is no. Let me return what I said earlier. Children see either a static image or a moving scene while hearing spoken language, creating a wealth of comprehension input. This principle applies universally, regardless of geography. Visually, whether still or moving, are the same in China as they are elsewhere. The K is in the corresponding sounds. The best input is live human speech in English. But what if we don't have access to real native speakers? Are there substitutes? Yes. The answer is English cartoons and picture books with audios. I was thrilled to discover that these resources perfectly pair sounds with visuals. Cartoons, in particular, can captivate children naturally and solve the problem, creating an emerging and painless English learning experience at home. Based on my experience, a young beginner who watches English cartoons, consistently and regularly each day, can make a foundation of language. Can quickly make the foundation of language listening skills. It's largely because cartoons offer a higher volume of language exposure compared to picture books and even live English lessons. As the questions theory states, a substantial input is very essential for language acquisition. That's also the reason why the children without English background struggle in the English classes. The input simply is not enough. So in summary, parents can create an English immersion environment at home by providing children with a wealth of engaging English cartoons and reading interesting English picture books. If parents are not confident in their English, they can use softwares and computers, even iPads, to help their children to immerse themselves in a sound and image-rich environment. With enough time of comprehensible language input, I believe every child can grow into a bilingual individual, with a very solid, grasp of English comprehension. Thank you so much.